She did it again. She did it again. This is Locked On Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I don't know anymore. From Locked On Baylor, and thank you for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. I don't know anymore from Sports. I don't know anymore from Sports Illustrated's Inside the Bears. Thank you for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day, I think is what I was trying to say. That is where my brain is. That is a great culmination of how my entire week has gone. You know what's very interesting about the show? And I haven't really talked about this very much, but the daily aspect of this means, like, on the days where it's like, oh, you know, I'm having a bad day today. I'm having a weird day today. I still do the show. Today, my mind is everywhere. And most of that is thanks to Kim Mulkey. Does she just live rent-free in my head? I want you to know, even if you're like, oh, you know, I only come to this podcast for basketball or football or one of that. Like, just please humor me for a second. Bask in the glory of the continual conversation of, what in the world is this woman? Kim Mulkey, there's just it's all the time. It's constant. Like, every time that I see a post on Twitter or Facebook or anywhere else, mostly Facebook, because that's where the crazy people live, and it's involving Kim Mulkey, I just know it's going to be weird and most likely going to suck and ruin my day. The newest one, which I've heard a lot of people talking about, Queen Egbo included, former Baylor women's basketball player, is Kim Mulkey's decision. Don't be fooled. This was not LSU's decision. This was Kim Mulkey's decision to put a billboard up about her LSU Tigers going to the Final Four in women's basketball this year. I want to be very clear. This is the best year of women's basketball, arguably ever. I think we're going to look back at the 2023 women's basketball season based on how all the numbers that we're seeing for Final Four tickets and stuff like that. I think we're going to look back and say this was the best year ever. Caitlin Clark, Haley Van Lith, these people that are these women that are helping further their sport. And in the fat middle of it, obviously, is Kim Mulkey, who, it was her, again, not LSU, who has decided to put billboards up in Dallas, because that's where the Final Four is. That makes sense. And in Waco, that's a Final Four, LSU. Number one, she's in the fat middle of this billboard. This is not like my players got me here. This is I'm Kim Mulkey and I got us here, which is true to a pretty good extent, by the way. She's a damn good coach. Let's all be very, very clear here. I'm not here to just crap all over the stuff that Kim Mulkey did at Baylor or to crap all over Kim Mulkey's ability to coach women's basketball. She's a very good basketball coach. There you go. She's a very weird person. I mean, interesting. I haven't told you. I can, I guess now, tell all of you the different things that would happen during press conferences with Kim Mulkey while she was here that you never heard. She's the coach that there were Baylor staffers that would come in after her press conference and go, hey guys, please don't include a lot of the stuff that she said in the press conference in your writing, which is a really weird thing to say to journalists. But also, I think all of us look around the room and we're like, collectively, yeah, no, everything she just said just didn't make any sense. The first press conference I ever, and this is me rambling a little bit here, but I hope it's cohesive in the end. The first press conference I was ever in with Kim Mulkey, I remember recording it I worked for the Baylor Lariat at the time. I remember recording it and then posting it on my own personal YouTube on private so I could send it to my mom because it was so insane. There was a point where Kim looks right at me, my first ever press conference with Kim Mulkey, and she loves to mess with people. She got really mad at Jerry Hill in that press conference. She told Jerry Hill off, which is he's an amazing person, has been at Baylor for so long. Why would you tell off Jerry Hill? Moot point. She looks at me and she goes, honey, as that song goes, everything that glitters, it just ain't gold. And then she started singing some unrelated song that, like, I think it was a Jim Croce song. She really likes Jim Croce. Kim, I don't know what that means. You just beat, I think it was Lubbock Christian. You just beat Lubbock Christian. And this is your response, is to start singing some Jim Croce song. She gave me that answer. She goes, and then you don't tug on Superman's cape. Don't pee into the wind. It's like, what? Why? What is going on in your mind? I want to know, genuinely. Kim, if you're listening, I hope you're entertained at this point. Where is the basketball part? Like, how does a person sit up there in front of players at the press conference and say stuff like this? And the players are like, yeah, I like that. That's what I want to play for. This lady's insane, but she's great at coaching basketball. Why? How? What does she do? What do I need? What do I need to be this? Now she has a billboard in Waco. What? Get over it, please. You didn't get fired. You left. They didn't worship you like it's public knowledge at this point. No, nobody's hiding it. You have told people. Like, quoted. I know a person who asked you, because they're an insane person. Like, Kim, I'm from Baylor. And your response to this, I have this on good authority. This is from a very trusted source, which is always right. Your response was, I love Waco. I love Baylor. I don't like Mac Rhodes, which to me is hilarious. Guys had a lot of great hires. That's the legacy you leave. You exit the university, and you left because they wouldn't do the stuff you wanted them to do. Maybe you wanted more recognition. Now at LSU, you're in the Final Four, and guess what? They're still talking about how good the football team's going to be next year. That's what they do there. They do football. Livy Dunn is in gymnastics, has a gajillion followers. Her NIL valuation is massive. It's insane. Baseball gets more people that come to their games than women's basketball at LSU. It wasn't like that at Baylor. What else do you want from us? What else could you want? Maybe the court named after you? No, we don't do that. Do you know why? Because you are controversial. There could, any moment in time, they could open up that closet of yours, find just the right skeleton, and then everybody in the world's going to go, you named your court after her. The amount of weird, controversial things she did at Baylor. And we kind of sat there for it because she won a lot of games. Reminds me a lot of, there was a girls coach when I was in high school. Kind of very similar deal. It's like, the guy always won games. You can't fire that. The guy's winning games. He was weak, he was mean and gruff, odd. She was gruff and odd, and the things that she wears and everything, she's very outlandish. You think, like, what's the Baylor brand? Dave Aranda. Thank you for being here. Appreciate the question. That's what person over player. I don't think Kim Mulkey. Remember when she sat on the microphone? She threw the coat and all that. That was crazy. When she said in the microphone, like, if your daughter doesn't want to go to Baylor, you should just slap her. Who says stuff like that? And why? I don't get it. I don't. No one normal can say things like that. Fox came out with a thing. She loves Fox, by the way. Fox News came out with a thing. Kim Mulkey has not talked to Brittany Griner since her release from prison. Right. You spend 4 years with someone who wins you a national championship, gets you to 40-0. That person gets sent to a penitentiary in Russia. You decide that you're just not going to talk to them after they get released. And while they're in the said penitentiary in Russia, penitentiary? Is that the way? Is that the way you say the word? While they're in the prison, that's another word for penitentiary. She says nothing, and they're like, "Hey, can you just say you're gonna pray for her or something, like anything?" She's like, "No." She did say she's glad she's safe and back. She said she hadn't talked to her, but that she is happy that she's back. So I guess that part's good. I just don't understand, man. I coached 6th grade basketball when I was in high school. I had a kid named, let's just pick one. A kid named Clayton. Clayton was rambunctious. Had Clayton gone to Russian prison, I probably would check on him. I haven't talked to Clayton in 5 years. I would still call Clayton and be like, yo, bro, How was Russian prison? I hope you're okay. I'm glad you're back. Kim Mulkey has done none of that to Brittany Griner, who helped her get to 40-0. You know what's a lot better than Kim Mulkey, who is very petty, by the way? A lot better than Kim Mulkey is FanDuel. No sweat first bet, guys. This weekend is the Final Four. Tomorrow is the Final Four. So I obviously I am excited to watch pretty much none of it aside from UConn because I have their future to win it all. I am not so excited to watch FAU and San Diego State, but if you want to get excited to watch it, put $1,000 on. No sweat first bet right now at FanDuel.com. America's number one sportsbook. And so right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no sweat first bet. $1,000, okay? Put $1,000 on San Diego State to win. I think they're going to beat FAU. One of those two teams has to play for national championship. It's boring, and I don't care. New customers, $1,000 in bonus bets. If your first bet doesn't win, you bet on San Diego State. They don't win, that's fine. You get $1,000 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com/locked on. Sign up today to claim your no sweat first bet. I just learned that if you're in a state where you can't sports bet, VPNs, apparently. There's a VPN thing that can help you. I'm just leave that right there. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I think it's the thing. Also, I'm trying to watch the Rangers games. Apparently, you can't do that in Waco. So I'm going to have a VPN, whatever that means. You can wager on everything from money lines, point spreads, which teams will be cutting down the net. It's UConn. All that, and it's on an app that is safe. It's secure. It's super easy to use. Don't miss your shot at a no sweat first bet, $1,000. And you join FanDuel today. Go to FanDuel.com/locked on to sign up. Make every moment more with the FanDuel app. I just want to say thank you. Caitlin Bickle is joining the show next week, by the way. I want to say thank you to everyone who is not Kim Mulkey right now. That includes Nikki Collin for being who she is. It's very sweet to have Nikki Collin here. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know what leads you to ask. You know, she did. For a billboard in Waco, it's like, look at me, look what I did. I left you and I did this thing. Okay, great. I couldn't, okay. And, the eyes of the women's college basketball world are on Caitlin Clark. Nobody's talking about Kim Mulkey. They're talking about Caitlin Clark. You know why nobody's talking about Kim Mulkey? Because she's done some bad and weird things over time. You can't get over that. You know, people really liked her in Waco. I bet she had a lot of friends. She did. There's a lot of people that didn't like her for very obvious things she did that weren't good. You can't do all the not good things and then be the queen of your sport. She wore a shirt this year that said, I'm the queen. Her outfits are crazy, man. They're crazy. Transfer portal. The transfer portal on the men's women's basketball side, where this is going to be an ongoing conversation in the next couple of weeks on what happens and how it happens. But I want to come out here and talk about something that I haven't really mentioned much since like December. And that's how Baylor and the transfer portal are two things that don't go together very well. I thought Dave Aranda did a much better job this offseason in football with the transfer portal. He did great. He had 11 guys, which he had 11 guys. He had 9 his other 3 years combined. So this was big for you, Dave. Thank you for recruiting the transfer portal. I've seen a bunch of the transfers from other universities now that have come out and given John Rothstein, who does not block me, although he blocks some of you. John Rothstein has given, they have given him their list of schools that have contacted them. And Rothstein has taken those, and it turns out not a single one of them that I've seen have had Baylor on them. So I want to know. Jacoby Walter, by the way, dropped 34 points the other day in that one event in the tournament thing that he was playing in, which I think is really cool as well. He's going to be a really good defensive and offensive player for Baylor. But now you have to decide. You have to decide if you're Scott Drew how to attack the transfer portal. You have to decide if you're Nikki Collin how you're going to attack the transfer portal, because I guarantee you're going to need 2 or 3 players to bolster both rosters going into next season. I am a firm believer that there is a great point guard out there that can come to Baylor. LJ Cryer's entered the NBA draft. What do I think? Can I be honest with you right now? Can I be honest and transparent with you? You made it this far on the show. I think LJ Cryer will not be in a Baylor jersey next year. And I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong that he won't be in a Baylor jersey, but he's going to get some good looks in the NBA. And honestly, the way that the NIL has advanced in today's era of sports, there will be teams that call him There will be teams that call some of the best players at schools like Baylor that are behind the punch in some areas of NIL and say, hey, kid, we'll give you X amount of dollars to come play for our basketball team next season. While he hasn't entered the transfer portal yet, I think he either goes pro or finds a gig that has money in it because he deserves it, right? Like, this is the worst thing. Evan Hebert tweeted this out. It was so well said, and it'll be a talking point, too, in the offseason, that LJ Cryer is one of the greatest Baylor basketball players of all time to show up in maybe the worst time, to show up at the worst time possible, because he didn't get his due. Like, he should have gotten exponentially more shots than he got. He should have been an exponentially bigger factor in Baylor's in Baylor over the course of his time here so far, because he's the guy. Like, he's been the best shooter that Baylor has had the last few seasons. And you know, he's 42%. He's only percent behind Haslip, who's the all-time percentage leader, I believe, in Baylor history. Another Evan Hebert tweet that I'm using there. And since he came to Baylor, where it's the most stacked era of Baylor basketball that has literally ever existed, he didn't get to be the superstar that he probably should have been. Now, could he be that next year? Most likely, but you also have a couple of young guys coming in who are one and done types that could make a case for the NBA draft next season, and they're going to want their due. Does that push LJ Cryer to go to a team that has no one and dones and plays a lot of team-oriented basketball than Baylor looks to play next season? It's quite possible, and that's why I think it's going to happen. I think he's going to go somewhere else. Now, that means if Dale Bonner stays, he's got a huge decision coming up. He's got a huge decision. I think if I'm Dale Bonner, I probably don't stay here. You were the best ball maneuverer, passer, facilitator on the team per Scott Drew this season, and then you got filtered out of the lineup entirely. Your defense was maybe the best defense of any guard on the team this year. You got filtered out of the lineup. So why like, if Dale Bonner stays, he'll be like the Jalen Petrie of the men's basketball team, because this guy effectively got cut midseason and then came back to other people being injured and just not playing well, and balled out for a team that a coaching staff that kind of gave up on him in the middle of the season. You can make the case they didn't give up on him, but they weren't playing him. So if you're LJ Cryer, you become a superstar somewhere else. You can be the guy, the only guy, make a ton of money. If Baylor offers you $50K and somebody else in the Power 5 offers you $100K, $300K, $500K, which is probably what his NIL valuation is for as good as he is, then obviously you go and you take that opportunity. Let's look at what Matthew Meyer did in entering the transfer portal, going to Illinois. It didn't work out great, but at least shows that players are going to do that now. And then if you're Dale Bonner's going to starter anywhere else in the Big 12, probably. He's a starter on almost every other college basketball team. And instead, at Baylor, he was filtered out of the lineup. So if both those guys are gone, which I have a weird hunch, a weird idea that that's very likely, then you have to hit the transfer portal really, really hard. The portal is going to have, I'll estimate, 22,000 players in it. That's too much, isn't it? That's like football numbers. But say the portal has 1,000 people in it, then you've got to go hit that. All right, you've already got your Caleb Grill has 2 years left of eligibility. He's already entered there. You've got Taron Armstrong. Oh, the whole entire basically Princeton lineup has entered the transfer portal. Go get those guys. Jameer Nelson from Delaware. Yeah, Brandon Murray from Georgetown. Dalton Knecht from Northern Colorado. Caleb Love, man. I would love Caleb Love. Go give me Caleb Love and Drew Timme in Baylor uniforms next season. Just see what happens, brothers. Just see what happens with Baylor men's basketball next season. There is a big need to go get 3 guys. That's my target number right here. 3 guys. 3 hermanos in the transfer portal for Baylor men's basketball and bring them into Waco next season. I want to see it. I also want to see you go, it's just kind of your last shot too, to Built.com. And at Built.com right now, you can go get Built Bars. Not only can you get Built Bars, you can also vote on the Built March Madness bracket. BuiltMarchMadness.com to vote for your favorites. I will be voting for is today April Fool's Day, by the way? Or is it March 30th? I don't know. I don't have time to look. I will be voting myself for the coconut almond. I already voted for the coconut almond puff. If you want the coconut almond puff bar to win, not puff bar, can't say that, bar to win, then go to Built March Madness. BuiltMarchMadness.com. Vote for your favorite bar. When you vote for your favorite bar, you will be entered into a drawing for a 50 lucky listeners who get a free box of Built. Not only that, but one Locked On fan will win a 12-month subscription to Built to have the Built's best bars or puffs delivered monthly straight to your door. You got to try Built. It is the best protein bar ever. They're amazing. You won't think they're good for you because they taste so good. What makes them so good? 100% real chocolate. Real, actual, natural chocolate. Go to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now. Actually, right now. Vote for your favorite bar or puff. Pick up a box while you're there. You can vote every day in March. Hop on. Support your pick. Maybe you can still vote if today's April. Thanks for listening this week. It was Dia. I need to get my car fixed today. I've had a lot of stuff going on. I made 3 hires for Alaska, by the way. Thank you all for asking, being invested. I've also been able to put some content together for this here silly little podcast. It's going to be even better next week. I'm excited. Caitlin Bickle is going to join the show. We got a lot of fun stuff planned. Always do, right? This is a fun show. Despite it being pessimistic sometimes, this is a fun show. I hope today's episode was fun too, because Kim Mulkey, man, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't think I will ever be a point in my life. People call me, I've been called a narcissist before. I have. Been called prideful. I've heard that. I've heard it. But I don't think I would ever get to a point in my life where I put a billboard somewhere else. Like if I run for president and I win, I'm not going to put it in the other president's yard, the failing candidate. Just put a billboard in his yard. Drake told president. That's idiotic, pointless, spineless. Yeah. Why? Who cares? And go lose or win. Whatever, man. Whatever. You will always be second fiddle to everything else at LSU. You weren't second fiddle here. People worshipped you. And they probably shouldn't have. You said some weird stuff. Some bad stuff. Thanks for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day, even on days like today. This has been, always will be, Locked On. Come back on Monday for a banger of a show. Caitlin Bickle's going to join us next week. Baylor.